Hey, how you all doing? What makes us think that we should be taking care of others first before taking care of ourselves? If you think about it, you wouldn't do that on an aeroplane. You know when they tell you about the safety, they always tell you to put your mask on first before you put on the mask of someone else. And you think about that. The reason for that is, let's say you've got children with you or something like this. You might have a natural inclination, I'm going to take care of the kids first. But if you put their mask on when you're really struggling, let's say you can't even breathe, that's not going to really help them. What would be better is if you take, the reason why they tell you to put your mask on first is because then you're fit enough and capable enough to help others who need your help. It's the same in the swimming pool, isn't it? Or in the sea, if someone's drowning, you have to be capable enough to rescue them. So I don't know if you've ever done swimming lessons when you were a kid and let's say life safety, and they tell you that if you go to save someone and they're panicking and thrashing and trying to almost like sink you in the water, you're in your rights to sort of knock them out, so you can carry them back to stop them panicking. And they even tell you that if they start panicking and drown you should go away and leave them. Now that might seem bad, if you think about it, our natural inclination is always, there's nothing wrong with trying to help people, right? And it feels natural. We always want to help people. But when we do that at our own expense, where we're almost like our self-development, our own skills and our own values are being eroded because all we're doing is spending time helping others, that actually negatively impacts us, right? Because I'll tell you now, there's nothing wrong with looking after number one first, right? So if we think about this, if we explore it a bit further, right? Let's think about something that we know in the relationship area, romantic relationships. You might have heard of the concept of the nice guy. Well, the nice guy is quick to go and help everyone else because this nice guy syndrome comes from a feeling of not being quite good enough, basically, and always wanting approval. So the nice guy will always be quick to sort of do things for others. What they're really looking for is they think that if they just be nice enough and do enough things for people, then people will like them more and they'll get respected more. But that is so far from the truth, right? If you think about it, that absolutely, if you're a guy and you're a nice guy, absolutely repulses women. Who do women like? They don't like nice guys. They like guys who are competent and actually capable of leading and delivering. Right? Does it mean that, yes, some women will actually respond to, let's say, the jerk or whatever, or the guy that's trying to act super alpha and everything. But really what women really want in a long-term situation is a very capable guy who puts the needs of his own, let's call it, purpose in life. I know this is sort of thrown around as almost like a slogan, but women like that guy that puts his own needs first because, and it's the same with anyone, in a business scenario, people prefer to follow a leader, and also in a family setting with your wider family, you are better being stronger. So rather than running around and, trying to make everyone else's life perfect and fixing things for everyone, you should be really predominantly focused on looking after number one, right? It might sound selfish, right? But if you look after number one and you work on your own goals, what you want to achieve, your own self-development, take care of that, you'll actually become more capable to benefit the people around you, right? So you have to be selfish first to be selfless. And if you do that, everyone will benefit, right? And if you think, like, I'm just thinking about my own life personally and things that I've suffered with this in my past. The first I can think of was when I first started my business. So when you first start a business, it's almost 12 years old now. When you first start a business, you're at the bottom of the business food chain. You don't get the best contracts and you can't hire the best staff. That's just because a business has to go through a few rounds of maturity. Just like anything, it has to build itself up, develop itself in terms of its reputation, the brand name, everything like that. So when you first start out, you can't attract the best staff. You can't even afford to pay the best staff. So you have to take on whoever you can take on, and you've got to grind through and put a lot of time in. Now, when I was starting out my business, I used to have to do this. I took on not the best staff. I took on who I could. And I ended up with a lot of, let's call it, staff with behavioural problems, people not either turning up late, not turning up at all, misbehaving. And what they were doing, they was nibbling my boundaries, little bit by bit, right? And at the time, my mind was all focused on trying to make these people happy so they would stay in the business, because my mindset was, as long as they are there, as long as these people stay in my business, they're making me money. So I used to tolerate all the little nibbles at my boundaries to the point where it became so bad that then I switched to passive aggression and I just cut them off at the knees. They'd be out the business. And that really is a nice guy trait. You tolerate stuff like that. And Jordan Peterson has a great answer to this. He always says, don't let things hide in the fog. And what that means is, the minute someone encroaches on one of your boundaries or misbehaves in a way that you feel that's just sort of disrespecting you, for instance in this case, when people keep consistently turning up late or skimming hours and all sorts of tricks, you should have that conversation early, right, rather than letting things hide in the fog. Because the quicker you have that conversation early, you nip it in the bud and you set your expectations rather than waiting. Because what nice guys do, they allow things to build up, and it's almost like resentment, right? And when you allow resentment, it gets to a point where the nice guy then will be super passive aggressive, and they'll just come out with a massive just blow up all in one go. And that passive aggression is a classic nice guy trait. What is better is for you to have those many small fights early on. They're not fights, they're just conversations, setting your standards, right? And if I think about, even in my personal life, like I remember I've moved into a new house and there was a neighbour there, and he didn't have the skills that I was great. I came from a construction industry, so I was very good with fixing, designing buildings. I used to work in this business, and I could fix houses and do everything. And he was forever asking me favours, you know what I mean? And I almost got to the point where I couldn't say no. One of the classic traits of, helping others, nice guy syndrome, is that you find it difficult to say no. So, and if you get yourself in that scenario, you end up double booking yourself. You're always flying around. You're trying to help everyone else before even looking after your own house. So, my neighbour's like, will you go on my roof and fix this roof tile or whatever? And I'm going up there fixing his roof. In the meantime, I've got work doing that needs doing on my own house, right? And this is the point. You end up in a situation where you can't say no, right? So you've got to get to the point where you need to flip this. If you're in this scenario, you need to kind of almost like flip the script a little and start looking after yourself, right? Because if you focus on your goals and your achievements and you build yourself up, even if you feel that you have to kind of shut yourself off from a few people just for a few months while you get things moving, get your head down and really make a dent in your goals, right? When you come out stronger, this might sound selfish now, and it is, right? But as I say, you've got to be selfish to then become selfless, right? Because if you come out, you stop running around doing things for everyone. You start focusing on yourself, right? You get yourself in shape, you sort your business out, you get your life in order, whatever you need to do. And then you come out with all them results stronger. A lot of things will start to happen. First thing is, you'll get a lot more respect from people, because all of a sudden they'll see the results. The people in your life who are closest to you will be able to benefit from them results, right? Benefit from what you've achieved, because all of a sudden then you can share those things with them or share those benefits. You may even have a lot more time on your hands or a lot more resources now because you've put the work in, which can directly help those people. And the other way that it benefits the people that are closest to you in your life is because they start to look up to you, you know, they respect you, they can see what you've done, and it's motivational. It actually helps others. So that influence there is very powerful, because if you think about one of the biggest gifts that you can give to people that are closest in your life, whether that's family members or whatever, is for you to be the best example of how to move through life. You to set the example and show them the way, influence them so that they can hopefully learn from you and follow you and look at what you've done. That is one of the biggest benefits that you can have. You know, if you be selfish first to become selfless, then the others around you can start to benefit, right? And I think back to a few people that I know. I'm not going to name any names, but I've been in close contact with a couple of guys that have been in a scenario where they've been pulled from pillar to post by their family or by the people around them, loved ones, all that kind of thing, to the point where they've sacrificed their own goals, right? And I could watch this and I try and advise these people, and I can see this coming. I can see what is about to happen. And they may have not pursued a particular goal because, you know, a loved one may have said, no, that's too risky or whatever. And because they've made that sacrifice, a few years down the line, you can almost like look back and think there was that stick or twist moment if they'd have just gone for it and pushed through. But they were too accommodating, and it ended up resulting in they didn't get the results that they wanted in that particular area. And they're now, I'm not saying they're regretting it or anything, but if that were me, I'd be looking at that and I'd be very, very disappointed. Almost like, like the rocking chair test. Like, you could almost get to think about it. How would that make me feel when I was in the later years of my life and I had an opportunity to go for something and I didn't because, my girlfriend or my wife or whatever at the time stopped me from going, out of their own fears and convinced me. Because this is, it's a bit like what I said in a video. What is the difference between strong behavior and weak behavior? Strong behavior is behavior where you're not easily manipulated or influenced. Weak behavior is where you can be easily swayed and influenced by others. And that really is what the nice guy syndrome is. And if those guys could go back to the start of that decision, they had the opportunity there to create something wonderful, which what they should have done was said to the partners at the time, no, sorry, this is my goal, I'm going for it, and that's it. And if they'd have pushed through, because obviously making change is difficult, but if they'd have pushed through at that moment, they could have had the result that they wanted. They could have created some real value, been a bit selfish, delivered their goals, and guess what? If they'd have got the results, everyone else would have benefited. Now they're in a situation where they'll never know. Yeah? So don't let that happen to you. I mean, in summary, I would say, always prioritize your self-development. It's okay to look after number one, because you have to be selfish first to become selfless, right? Because have confidence in your ability to deliver your goals. And if you do that, if you be a bit selfish, everyone eventually will be able to benefit from the results, and you'll be able to influence them so they can go and achieve their results as well. This is what I've seen in my own life. It's very powerful. Let me know if you've got any comments on this, whether you feel that people are holding you back maybe from going for your own goals, maybe if you feel like you've got a little bit of nice guy syndrome, inside you, maybe you're filling everyone else's cup, which is great, but at that same time your cup's not getting filled and you're not achieving your goals. Let me know in the comments, right? Because there is a way around it. You have to be selfish first to become selfless. Then you can help others. Hope you liked that video. Don't forget to subscribe. See you all next time.